Hey guys, welcome back for another SendCal Guns video. My name is Ben. So tonight's video we're going to be doing another Monday Night Gun Talks video. This is video number 6. Tonight's video we're going to be going into some new world record shooting for Benchrest, as well as a personal best small group shot for myself. In addition to that, we're going to be going into some range updates for my local range, as well as some good tips and tricks for when you guys are out at your local range. That way you get the most out of your time shooting. So, gonna go ahead and just jump right in. So last weekend, I got to go out to the range and watch the guys shoot Benchrest. For those of you guys that are not familiar, Benchrest is shooting a rifle competition with custom-built rifles off of a bench. The competition that they were shooting was at 100 and 200 yards. Shooting a cartridge called 6PPC. Just show you guys. The parent case that most of these guys make the cartridges off of is something called 220 Russian. Just to give you guys a little size comparison, something that most of you guys should know. That's a 9mm case next to it, so slightly larger than 9, but then just to compare it to 45 for those of you that are familiar with that. There you go. The case length on these is roughly comparable to, let's say, a 223-556, shooting 6mm bullets. Most of these guys are shooting somewhere in the neighborhood of a 65-68 grain bullets, roughly 2,800 to 3,000 feet a second. It does vary a little bit rifle to rifle, and then also which rifle the guys are shooting. Most of the guys this weekend were shooting something called unlimited railguns. You do have regular looking rifles as well as these railguns, but they're mainly shooting railguns this weekend, and that's what the record was broken on. If you guys want to learn more about that, stay tuned on the channel. I'm going to be doing another completely separate video going into the whole match, as well as some of those records that were broken more specifically than what I'm going to mention in this video. So, regular match for that, you basically have 7 minutes. You can shoot as many sighting shots on the sighting target, which is your bottom target, and then you have to put 5 shots up on your scored target. The record that was shot this weekend was 5 shots with a spread. So basically the maximum distance between all 5 shots was .039. So for those of you guys that aren't familiar with exactly how small that is, it's roughly 1/32 of an inch. So guys, it's very, very small. Literally, that is almost stacking rounds. So I'm going to show you guys a couple quick little clips with that, and then I'll bring you guys back.
These are kind of stale. I have a new bag here. That's about the middle of the pack. Medium.
He's got a pocket. Okay guys, so you guys got to see the guns actually firing, as well as that one still shot of the actual target. Very, very impressive. A guy by the name of Gary Ocock shot the group. Basically it's going to be sent into IBS and basically measured. Basically, they're going to double check and it's going to get confirmed as official. So, had the opportunity this last weekend to be able to actually shoot one of the regular rifles. So basically, there's 4 classifications of these rifles. One is light varmint, you have sporter, you have heavy varmint, and then you have the unlimited railguns. The light varmint rifles are basically pretty much like a regular rifle, except you're limited to 10.5 pounds of weight. So have a little target here. Just going to kind of show you guys. Now the 2 holes here in the middle, we're just sighting just to get it on paper. All of these other groups are 3-shot groups, except if you guys kind of notice the hole that's right in there. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. We measured this thing just unofficially, and it's under 100 thousandths. So 3 shots under 100 thousandths spread at 100 yards. Now it's not anything like the guys were shooting for an official match, but realistically, guys, I mean, for me, I'm pretty positive it's one of the best groups I've ever shot. So, if you guys have ever shot an impressive group, go and share that down in the comment section. I want to see what you guys have shot. If you guys can, please mention what the gun was, what the caliber was, what the distance is, and what the actual group size is. So, I know that there's other guys out there that have shot nice small groups, but I mean, for me, it's a pretty decent group. The one little thing just to share with you guys, kind of just switching gears. So my local range is Visalia Sportsmen's Association, as I mentioned before. Right now we're working on doing a pretty major range improvement project with all of that. The biggie that we're right now working on is expanding the rifle range out from 200 out to 300 yards for the last paper targets. We're going to be putting up some steel gong plates again on the back berm, which is going to be roughly 320 to 325 yards. So realistically, it's going to be pushing it, and hopefully we're going to have some smaller plates. So for those of us that really want to push ourselves, should have some either 1 MOA or smaller targets. The other biggie that we're working on out on that range is we're right now working on putting in a 10-lane, 25-yard pistol range in. All of that is coming along. Hopefully, guys, for those of you guys that happen to be local, that should be done by December 31st of 2017. The thing that I got informed this last weekend is that the concrete for the new pistol range has cured enough, so hopefully pretty soon they're going to be starting the process of putting up the new roof, and then basically we have to get the dividers in between each of the lanes, a little bit of bench space, and then in addition to that we have a little bit of dirt work to be able to get the pistol range open. The only thing that still has to be done for rifle range, as far as I know, is we have a little bit more dirt profiling work that we still have to do, as well as after we get that done, then we're going to have to basically lay in the railroad ties or landscaping ties in for the 300-yard line and get all of those holes drilled. With our range, you basically have a wood frame target stand that basically has a sheet of cardboard on it, which is what you're physically attaching targets to. The railroad ties, or some of you guys might refer to them as landscaping ties, basically we have holes drilled in those, so you're basically able to just stick the target frame right into it. Makes it real easy. So that's kind of that update. Now a few little range kind of tips for you guys. The most important thing I can think of, if you guys are going to be going out in the range, double check, make sure that you guys have all the gear that you guys are going to need to be able to go out. I will freely admit I've done it before, gotten out there, realized, shoot, I brought the wrong ammunition for the wrong gun, and or the other one that I've done, pretty common mistake, guys, is brought the rifle or the pistol, brought the ammunition, but I forgot the magazines. Yeah, that one kind of stinks, because then you're having to either shoot it single shot or having to do some sort of hanky-panky, and or possibly having somebody else there that's able to loan you a magazine. So couple little interesting training tips I will always recommend for those of you guys that happen to be new shooters and or even possibly old-time shooters. One of the things I really enjoy shooting out there is the 1022, being the fact that it's 22 long rifle, real inexpensive, real cheap to be able to run. I think last time I picked them up, I was somewhere between $3 and $4 a box for that ammunition for 50 rounds. So realistically, pretty good little price, and it's not anything super expensive. So realistically, I mean, you could run 200, 500 rounds in a sitting, and it's not going to break the bank. So the other one little trick that I will share with you guys, if you guys are just shooting something for the first time, and let's say it's been in the safe since last season or for a couple of years, shoot a target that's a little bit closer than the normal shooting distance that you shoot it at, just to make sure, hey, is it still on paper? Especially guys on the bigger cartridges for rifles that you have a scope on, possibility that you may have bumped the scope loose on that and had something get out of alignment. The one little thing on that note, guys, that I will mention to you guys, if you guys have a scope on a rifle or, for example, a shotgun, any of those mounting screws, guys, even the rails, the scope bases, the scope ring parts that split, I would recommend Loctite. Also, when you guys are installing all of those, make sure that you guys torque them down. If you guys don't happen to have one of those inch pound screwdrivers, I would highly recommend get one. I know just off the top of my head you can get them through Brownells, quite a few other places, but those always come in handy. That way then you know that the screw is tight enough, and if you put Loctite on it, it's not going to back out. One little training tip I know I've discussed with a couple guys, and I figured, hey, I will discuss it again. If you guys are out shooting at the range, shooting handguns, one little interesting kind of training idea I will share with you guys is using something called snap caps. Just to show you guys, this is basically just a dummy round. Basically has a spring inside of it, so the firing pin will actually hit the back of this thing and make a kind of snapping sound. Real great for, let's say, if you're doing training at home. Although, guys, if you're training at home, just being able to present a weapon, and or, for example, even first-time shooters, training juniors on how to be able to shoot something, training spouse how to be able to shoot something. Real great option. being the fact that it's not live ammunition. So being able to clear something, being able to load it, and being able to get comfortable to be able to shoot. More specifically with the handguns when you're training, if you guys have multiple mags out, I'd dump in a couple of them, 3, 4, into those magazines. So that way when you're actually shooting, you're pulling the trigger, that round is going to get fed into the chamber, you're going to pull the trigger, gun's going to go click. Well, what do? You're going to basically rack the weapon. If it's a semi-auto, if it's a revolver, you're basically just going to pull the trigger again if it's double action, or if it's single action only, pull the hammer to the rear and pull the trigger again. Makes a real great training tip. That way then you're able to understand, okay, what do I need to do? It's also a real great training option if you want to set up the gun for, let's say, example, double feed. Having basically 2 rounds, one in the chamber, one on, let's say, the feed ramp, or one hanging halfway out. Being able to drop the mag, rack the weapon, reinsert mag, rack the weapon again, to be able to get handgun back up and running. One other thing I have mentioned to a couple guys that I have talked to, which I figure I would also mention on this video for you guys. For those of you guys that are using a firearm for, let's say, either home defense and or CCW, you got a gun in a vehicle, something like that. Real important thing, guys, is rotate your ammunition. Realistically, I have a policy of 90 days, so basically every 3 months, just rotating through that ammunition, whether that be rifle, home defense shotgun, pistols, 90 days. Basically, guys, you're going to get wear and tear on the ammunition. If you guys are constantly loading, unloading, I would always try and do the cycling on 1 round only. That way you're putting all the wear on 1 round. So plus, depending on your climate, you're going to get some humidity, body sweat, other problems. So just cycle it. The other one little thing just to mention on that note as well, for those of you guys that are using a CCW gun, check your magazines, making sure that the springs are still good. Basically the test that I would recommend for those, load up just the range ammunition, not the expensive stuff. 3 full mags per magazine, shoot them through the gun. If you have any sort of failure to feed problems, especially, guys, the ones to watch out for is on that last round or the last 2 rounds. I would pull the magazines apart, throw them into your range bag, get them back home, 86 the spring, replace the springs in them. My own personal experience on 1911 magazines that are kept fully charged all the time, realistically on those, I'm going to guess somewhere between 2 and 3 years is the spring life that I get on them. Then basically you're having to swap them out because now you're starting to have feed issues. So if you guys want to stay tuned for more of these Monday night gun videos, go ahead and hop up on the channel. You guys can watch the past ones, or every Monday night 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is when I most time try and put these out for you guys, as well as I do a weekly range update video for the whole range improvement project for my local range. A couple other little videos just share with you guys are going to be coming up. There's the whole Benchrest shooting match. There's going to be a video coming up on that, as well as some home defense DIY project shotgun ammunition right now in the process of testing. Figured to share with you guys. So If you guys can, down in that description box, there's going to be 3 links. You can follow along for more on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as the website address for the my local range is also going to be down there. So for those of you guys that happen to be in the Central Valley in California, definitely recommend, guys, if you guys are in the area, check us out. Definitely worthwhile coming by. So kind of just figured share this all with you guys. So I will see you guys for next video. So see you.